analyst bringing up the forbidden game that is Dota. Don't worry, Clockwork will be terminated. He will not be back.
Actually, he's going to be back tomorrow.
He's going to be back after this game as well. However, you're right. Heading into game 2 then, Team Wells were able to take game 1. I won't say in comfortable fashion, but it almost looked rather comfortable. You know, a nice Sunday drive for them as they took game 1 over SBTC. What do you want to see SBTC doing differently heading here into game 2?
Well, their draft is completely different, right? They made a full 180. They now have the Jinx. They now have the team fighting late game front to back advantage with Jinx, Lulu, and Sejuani. I don't really think the solo lanes fit. I think the solo lanes are a little bit of a cope angle, as I said in Discord as well, where they just picked the 2 best champions for their solo laners and just said, okay, we're gonna carry with individual advantages on Enper and DR1. I do like the makings of those front-to-back team fights, though. Playing around Slader, who has been a really good AD carry, even though his first game was a bit that was just a Slader Kai'Sa thing. He's addicted to playing Kai'Sa, even though he loses every game for some reason. So now it's back to standard meta. His coach came in, his team came in and told him, just play Jinx and we win. And let's see if that's true.
I'm loving this interaction between Palette and B. They're running off into the alcove. It's almost like when 2 people go to walk their dogs and then their dogs interact. And the owners are just like, look, just let them do their thing. And they're like just growling and barking at each other in the corner of the lane.
Yeah, unfortunately, one of the owners is actually able to contribute to the pushing and to the poke, which is Jinx, and the other doesn't even have an ability, so a little bit favored for the Palette dog in this case, who just missed a cannon minion, so now Slater hates him. But they get the early push, and that's quite important for SBTC, because this was one of the angles Team Wales always wanted to play around in the early game, get top and bot push, and enabled Killer Queen to play very aggressive in the invades, which is not going to be that easy in this kind of map setup. And Palette with a sneaky early gank in the mid lane.
Very nice scatter the weak. Palette shows up into the mid lane, taking a leaf out of his Glory, able to sidestep the Dark Sphere. Oh, and if that Dark Sphere had landed, that would have certainly been first blood for SBTC.
Oh, Glory, such an insane...
DNK?
Oh, DNK doesn't actually go for it. That's a bit surprising, but Glory held his nerves at just nerves of steel, I should say, because honestly, it's probably better to flash there, but he had confidence in himself and just dodged that Q like it was nothing, like he wasn't playing against the legendary Syndra player that is DR1, just walks away, and the whole thing is muted now for SBTC.
And let's not forget, DR1 Syndra, his most played champion over the years. This season in particular, though, has only been able to have, I believe it is 1 game on the champion, which he was able to win with a rather healthy KDA of 6.0 for those stats aficionados.
Yeah, you don't understand the half of it. You were not there for the Syndra days.
I was not, no.
Yeah, if you weren't there in 2020 spring, you do not understand what DR1 Syndra is about.
Is it better? Is it better than Harvey Syndra?
It's better than anything VCS has ever done. Like, it's one of those combinations that's probably as the same tier or even higher than Levi, Lee Sin and stuff. But we're going to talk about this later if he actually gets to pop off. I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, DR1 Syndra is a thing everyone knows about.
Yeah, it'd help if he could land his Dark Spheres onto Glory, but that's a separate thing, right? Okay, that's all of my play for this game done. I promise. In the top lane, Nagiga getting this wave shoved in towards Enper, who is just trying to farm up on this Bureau, and once our top laners get to level 6, we might see a little bit more spice coming through.
Yeah, game once again very slow, which in the first game we saw actually favors Team Wales. They like to play the slow style. They're better in the mid-game macro. They understand objective setups a little bit better. Even if you look at the compositions, you would say, okay, SBTC like late game, and this nice sidestep from Palette, and he actually gets away from the auto-attack range. We have some crisp mechanics in this early game.
How did a staggering blow not come through from B? I thought that was, you know, guaranteed. Sure, Palette sidesteps the dredge line, but you're just going to get auto-attack, stunned, and Killer Queen would follow. But somehow Palette able to survive, and now ADCs just being left to their own devices in the bottom lane, with Slader sporting just a rather small CS advantage in the first 6 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and thinking about the rest of the series, if SPTC lose this game against Aphelios, while they never play Aphelios with Slader, as the analyst said, he really does not like Aphelios, that's going to be a huge issue. They might even want to consider Vinboys then, because he's the Aphelios player, but of course that's still very far away. We do need to see Slader step up in this game, especially if you consider that that's probably the strongest point on the map for SPTC individually. But now Glory in trouble.
Glory getting caught out. Permafrost comes through into the Scatter of the Weekend. Unleashed power. Dear One with the unleashed first blood of the game.
Yeah, usually, back in the day, he was doing this alone, but now he needs a bit of assistance because Syndra is not as strong in the early game anymore. But still, first kill over to Syndra. She's now a really strong scaling champion. Gets to stack her weird little splinters or whatever it's called. So an early kill for the Syndra will give her a nice way into the late game. But now DNK, under a lot of pressure, needs to... Oh no, he got caught.
Poor little piggy Palette making his way up just to give some support for his jungler. Dear One coming in as well. Scatter the Week won't be able to land, and Team Wells are being forced out of the SBTC jungle. Slader slowly trying to make his way up as well, but Team Wells going back on in. They know DNK is low, and they're saying, this is our jungle. We will not be forced out of it.
Yeah, this is what Killer Queen wants to do. He has been tamed by his coach, by B, and by this team in general. He's not the Killer Queen of 2021 winter anymore, where everything was just flipped at every minute of the game, which was very exciting to watch. But of course, the tendencies are still there. Now he's coming from behind the flash stun.
Oh, the entire team collapsing beautifully. Killer Queen will take 2 tower shots, will be able to survive, but it is B who takes the spoils of war.
Bit unfortunate that B secured the kill there, I think through Q damage, because he's probably maxing E, but still, the kill, it would have been nicer if the kill went over to Killer Queen, especially because he invested ultimate and flash, so now he's actually quite vulnerable if he ever gets caught in the 2v2 or 3v3 situation. So, yeah, they invested double flash to get this kill, and the kill goes over to the Nautilus.
Oh,
actually, if you look back on that, that is not a very good result. So now Wales needs to readjust and see if they can actually contest some of the objectives, missing crucial flashes on mid and jungle.
And Killer Queen and Glory are making their way up to the Rift Herald. They've spotted a piggy once more. And out comes Tibbers, out comes the Dredge Line. And it's another kill for Team Wales. And they want more, stealing away the Sejuani Soul. They're looking to Palette. Arctic Assault forward. They find the CC. Good slow from the Glitterlance, but locked down by the Incinerating. Glory will pick up his second kill.
And we finally get to see why they want to play Annie Viego so much. We actually didn't see any of that Annie Viego early game synergy in the last game. One glimpse into it just above the Herald Pit, I guess, last game. But they played it very slowly. They played it very defensively and just scaled for Vit. This game, they can't rely on Vit into with the AD carries being strong scalers on both sides. So this time they are ready to fight. B is here all the time, the best roaming support in the league. We've seen this so many times, him appearing out of nowhere everywhere on the map, and Killer Queen is on the aggressive this time. Fight after fight after fight, invade after invade, and Glory and Killer Queen together are wreaking havoc.
And a good start for Team Wales here in Game 2. The start of this game feels cleaner, feels more impactful than what we saw in Game 1 from Team Wales. The question is, can they take this lead into the mid-game? Can they carry it through the mid-game, especially against Slader on this Jinx? Can Slader find some kills and get himself snowballing?
Glory is really on top of his game. We had some people doubt him because he hasn't been in playoffs all that often, and maybe we don't really know much about him yet, but his mechanics in this early game, especially when dodging some of the spells Dia1 is throwing at him, are looking really crisp. So it's a good start into the series. Double any games, of course, rather comfortable. Most played champion, really good win rate. Not the hardest champion to play either, so maybe we have to wait for him to play other champs. But you can only play what you're given, right? And his Annie so far is doing exactly what you want from an Annie. A lot of engages, a lot of pressure, assisting the jungler, and providing a really good setup for the rest of the team.
And Team Wales with the lane swap on the top side of the map. Rift Herald will be dropped down, and that's going to be some juicy gold for Vit in Killer Queen. First tower as well. I said earlier, can they get some gold into Slader? Well, it's Team Wales who are getting gold into their ADC right now.
Yeah, and once again, I want to point out that this is really not how Wales has been playing on average when you look at their stats. in the season, because while they have a really good win rate in terms of games, and by far the second best team if you just look at the game score after GAM, they are usually behind in early towers. They don't really always go for early game tower pushes. They are really strong when it comes to first 3 towers, but their first tower average is pretty low. So in both of these games today, they've kind of reversed this trend and played more for early tower advantages, and you can see it's reflecting positively in their gold lead. They did give up the dragon in this game though, so we see a little bit more focus on early gold snowballs, on early items, as Lorry needs to get away somehow.
Got the flash, unleash power, drops down the stopwatch, and the Super Mega Death Rocket will not be able to land. Glory will be able to survive.
Yeah, invested quite a lot there. Flash and stopwatch gone now, with nothing on the map. Once again, you might look at this in the replay and say, is it actually worth to invest stopwatch here? It's a 650 gold item, and you can't really get to Zhonya's in the next 10, 15 minutes, because you're still working on your first item, so it might come back to bite them. It looks good because he didn't die, and they invested a lot to kill him, but I'm not so sure if this was the correct decision. Might have wanted to just give up his life and rely on stopwatch for the later team fights around Dragon in about 3 minutes.
Or even the flash engagement. We talked about the inverse of this in regards to Enpiskennen when he burnt a flash to be able to find a kill onto Nagia, then didn't have the flash slicing Maelstrom for the next fight, and it meant Team Wells were able to win. Maybe not as a direct result of just a flash, but it was one of the contributing factors to Team Wells' success around the Soul Point Drake.
And now that you brought up Enper, we haven't talked about him at all. I don't think I've said the word Enper in this game once, because he's not done anything. He's just even in CS on the counter pick in top lane, and I'm not sure if that's good enough, because you are not supposed to go even on Fiora against K'Sante. I mean, in the early game it's fine, but now he really needs to show us that he can chase down the K'Sante, can push for solo kills, can actually get an advantage in the side lane, because if he doesn't, team fights are not gonna favor Fiora on an even state.
Yeah, some tower plays being picked up by Glorious Nick here, just having a little look towards the mid lane, seeing if he can fish out a potential engage. No such luck, and Glory just going to be a little bit shy of being able to pick up one extra tower plate. But now Team Wales are migrating over to the bottom side. They've spotted a little jinx, and they were thinking maybe we could find an angle to engage, but in the end, they just back out of a potential play.
Yeah, you can see the evolution of players like Killer Queen there. 2 years ago, I think he probably goes for the dive with a different support.
2 years ago, 6 months ago, he would have gone for that dive.
Yeah, that's actually fair, yeah. So it's really good to see this jungler that has so much potential. Everyone was so hyped when he came into the league for his Lee Sin mechanics. I think back to some of the carry games in winter 2021. And yeah, his mechanics are still crisp, but he's also learned how to play the game in a pro level, not just in a solo queue level. So that's always good to see. We like to have those special games where he completely goes off every now and then, but of course, in a pro setting, more often than not, you want the consistency. You still want aggression, but you want useful aggression. You want judicious aggression, not just completely throwing everything.
What we're saying is Killer Queen has gone from this like raw kind of aggression to more calculated. He's gone from being a psychopathic jungler to being a sociopathic jungler.
Maybe. Yeah, a first step towards
Does that work?
Sure, why not?
I'm now trying to think of like villains from blockbuster movies who are sociopathic versus psychopathic, because I never get the difference right between the two.
Well, for now, I feel like we need to focus on some of the support surrounding cast as well. We talked a lot about Lori. Not a lot of really footage to talk about Nagia so far, just playing a standard tank top lane game. And this is actually one of his best champions, in my opinion, when it comes to individual understanding of the champion. Probably the best K'Sante in the league, even though his win rate is not looking great. But some of the things he has done on K'Sante have been amazing. So far, not really all that much focus on top lane, which is really confusing to me, because both of these top laners are huge carries for their teams. But it's all about the bot lane meta, it's all about the hyper carries, and because it's about the bot lane meta, I think it's quite good for SBTC to get yet another dragon.
And they're teleporting in to secure this as well, because Team Wells, Killer Queen, picking up the Rift Herald while all of this was unfolding. And now that they have the Rift Herald, maybe they can look for a play in the mid lane. But Emperor looking to get a kill onto Nagia has issued the Grand Challenge. Very nicely played by Nagia to deny the proc with post use. Emperor will get the kill under tower and will be able to survive as well.
And there is the Fiora finally starting to... Ooh, nice stop there from DNK. Nicely smited away the second charge. But there is the all-important side lane exploitation, I guess, from Emperor, just winning in the 1v1, and that's going to be crucial for SBTC. Now, we haven't really seen SBTC win macro games that play around split pushing and side laning super often. They're more of a team fighting chaos style team, but maybe this is the game where they've changed their focus and can really push Emperor as their main carry into victory. They did lose another objective in the mid lane, so gold wise it's not actually that great of a play. As you can see, Wales extended their gold lead to almost 3k now. But the top lane matchup is the one hope, the one silver lining for SBTC, because Fiora can run away with this game.
So a little bit of a tangent I want to go on here your way, because I saw this really cool video recently, and it was about Fiora and how quickly you can proc all of the Grand Challenge procs. Do you know what the record is for how quickly that can be done?
0.15?
Not 0.15, it's not that ridiculous. I think it's about 0.3, 0.4, but do you know how it's done?
Probably some Q flash shenanigans. No, I actually have no idea about Fiora. It's one of those champions I've barely played a single game on.
So if you go like standard Fiora, I'll hold that thought as Nagia, being somewhat caught out by DNK, but he is a tanky Cassante and will be able to survive this without much issue. But if you go standard kind of Fiora, you can do it in about 0.6, 0.7 seconds. You use like the Gore Drinker to be able to proc one of the vitals, and then you can like flash around and do all of that kind of stuff. The actual quickest way to do it is by taking Gale Force and timing the Gale Force so that when you Gale Force, each of the 3 Gale Force procs one of the different vitals, and then you flash for the final one, and it is beautiful.
It's not going to happen this game, of course, but...
No, it's not.
It is Emperor's most played champ, so you expect him to be on top of the mechanics. Vid might have overstepped because he already flashed, but good Gale Force to safety. They did lose the tower, though, and that's a good little exploit from SBTC. Now, they need to be careful not to overstay, and they're already running away into their own jungle, because, of course, with their mana and HP bars right now, they can't fight. And actually, Team Wales has a slight opening to go for Baron, if they want to. It would be an aggressive call, but I actually would really like it, because look at especially the mana for Palette. He's not a champion right now. He can't contribute to anything in this fight. So, instead, they find Tier 1.
Looking for a potential flank, almost gets caught out by Nagia, and the flanker becomes the flankee. But it is Team Wales who sport a rather healthy 3k goal lead, and we kind of talked about how this game is very different from Game 1. Game 1, we saw Team Wales prioritizing Drakes over Rift Heralds. Here, it's been the complete inverse. Team Wales getting the first 2 Rift Heralds, SBTC able to get the first 2 Drakes, but unlike in Game 1 from SBTC, Team Wales have been able to use those Rift Heralds to get more of a tangible lead.
Yeah, but a huge difference in this game, of course, is also the scaling on SBTC's side. So they don't really care all that much about the 3k gold deficit, because they have Jinx, and Syndra is actually a really good scaler now as well. So yeah, you can't ignore it's not the old Syndra, where we would say Syndra is not actually that great in the late game. No, new Syndra is actually really strong, control mage, scaling champion in the late game too. So I think SBTC, they have adapted some of their aggression as well, and they're playing a much more Wales-like game in this one as well, and this just results in us having 5 kills at 20 minutes, unfortunately.
Nagia pulling Emperor across the map, and Emperor says, okay, I'll take this tower, and now I'll duel against you with the Grand Challenge. The rest of Team Wales is here, but surely Emperor gets the kill. No, Nagia is on the run, flashing away, and Vit will say, I'll take that kill. Nagia dangle the carrot in front of Emperor, and Emperor thought it was free.
But it's 2 outer towers for SBTC. They are outplaying Team Wales on the map right now, which is such an interesting development after game number 1, where it was the complete opposite. So a little bit of a change in pace, and both of these teams showing different styles. But now Team Wales, advantage on the map, but Emperor has TP. If SBTC can somehow stall the Baron take, they could collapse and maybe get a huge advantage here. They have Jinx, who loves this place to fight as well. This is so risky. Oh, Emperor way too early. DNK, no.
Tippers, DNK way too early into the pit. Staying alive for ages. Got to the weak and Baron finishes off the kill onto Killer Queen. No, by Slater. Stolen away. SBTC. They steal everything. Not only do they get the 2 outer towers, but they get the Baron Nashor as well.
Oh, with a W, a Jinx W stole the Baron. Usually you see her fire across the whole map with an ultimate, and then you can kind of understand because the ultimate is 1,200 damage cap, but it's a W, it's a zap over the wall. Wales was so close to a really good call. I actually really liked how they stopped dragon damage on the Baron, focused on DNK who came over way too early, and then they just fumbled a smite. This one is on Killer Queen.
And I just want to see, how does Killer Queen lose all of his health?
Okay, Killer Queen actually dies, so they don't have the smite. Yeah, that's true. I kind of lost track of that. So then it's understandable. You should still position the bear a little bit closer to the wall so it can block the the zap. Because you should never lose it to a zap there. You can lose the Baron to a Syndra skill shot or even a Slater auto attack, realistically, because you don't have the smite. But
the question is, like, how can they even prevent it? What is the highest damage ability that Team Wales have once Killer Queen is gone? Is it Glory QW combo?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it is a flip at that point, yeah. But losing it to a zap is a little silly because you can always block a skill shot like that. But in the end, with Killer Queen going down, it was just 50-50, and now that is a huge swing, especially because SBTC also just comfortably walked to the bot side of the rift and got their soul point too. So suddenly, Team Wales, after being ahead for the whole game, finds themselves in a precarious situation. Really good cleanse from Slater, but he has to flash too. That is huge.
Yeah, B coming on the flank and Slater thinking, whoa, I did not sign up for this, as Nagia didn't sign up for being 2-man ganked in the top lane. Another kill going over to SBTC, and another tower will be falling to Emperor.
And suddenly the game looks almost unsalvageable from Team Wales. They one botched call, one execution error, and the Jinx, the late game scaling team fighting composition with a dragon advantage, just gets off to such a strong position in the game. Now there's one more fight at least to be had around the soul, and if Team Wales gets a good opportunity, a good flank on top of Slater, maybe there could be an angle, because Slater is missing his cleanse, he's missing his flash, he doesn't have a meek curls from Palat, so the only thing I can see for Wales to come back into the game is really to eliminate Slater from the equation early on in the team fight. But even then, there's so much power in some of the other positions. DR1 is close to level 16. Enper is close as well to another item, or at least already has 2 items, which makes him quite strong in team fights too. So it's an uphill battle for Team Wales.
Let's not forget, both ADCs only on 2 items. They're not incredibly strong, and Slater's not as strong as Vit was on this Jinx when he had a Runan's Hurricane very early on into the game. But that fight over the next Drake is going to be pivotal, particularly for Team Wales if they want to stay in the game, as DNK almost landing. But he does land the next spell. Scatter Unleashed Power picks up the kill, and SBTC are just charging forward, not holding anything back. Vit trying to kite back from Emperor, can't land the riposte, and now Emperor locked down. Vit will be able to take the kill, makes it a 1-for-1 overall.
Yeah, weird timing to fight, honestly, because Dragon is still 2 minutes away, so a little bit of a nothing fight, and they end up going 1-for-1. Kill over to Vit is not bad, but both of the summoner spells missing for the Dragon fight, so actually kind of like that. Playing aggressively before Dragon spawns just to bait the enemy into a fight and maybe get their summoner spells. Because now Vit is pretty vulnerable to collapse from DNK, even from Emperor again. I think this was still a positive fight for SBTC, but it didn't really do anything for them in terms of game state. The game is still in the exact same state as before, and it's all about the next Dragon fight. 1.5 minutes. This game is going to come down to that. SBTC has all the trump cards on their side, so I feel like we're very likely to go to a 1-1 scorer after this game. SBTC fighting back in team fighting.
But I think you hit the nail on the head there, Yulway. The fact that Vit also, along with Slader, doesn't have a flash available, doesn't have a cleanse available, and that small advantage that we were saying that Team Wells might have is going to be gone because Slader is going to have his cleanse back up in time for the fight. Sure, he won't have a flash available, but having a cleanse against any CC, even Killer Queen CC, if he's able to land the W, the Spectral more, is going to be so clutch.
Yeah, there's a slight item issue for Slader. He's so close to IE, but he's not going to get it for the Dragon fight, which would be such a huge spike, so not quite as strong as we would like him to be. But some of the other members are more than making up for his lack of IE. He's still a strong damage dealer, and he's aided by DR1 being insanely strong. Even DNK can pose quite a challenge to some of the other members on the other team. So, this is still a favorable fight for SBTC, but DNK needs to be... Oh, he found the ultimate!
Emperor coming to the flank, but down has gone Vit already. Emperor won't even be needed for this play. It is just B and Nagir left standing, and they aren't the biggest damage dealers. And there is nothing that B can do on this Nautilus. Will be able to flash over the wall. DNK, though, will flash in pursuit, but I don't know where B's going. He's on the wrong side of the map, and the rest of SBTC are pushing forward in the mid lane to end the game.
B just using his Q, and nice little steps. Yeah, B's dancing with DNK, and he's kind of winning at the moment, but now DNK will
go blast cone.
Wait.
There is no way B's
again. Finish the game. Let B live. Let B live.
B will fall. SBTC will take game 2, and we'll head into game 3 perfectly tied.
What a dominant performance from SBTC to come back into the series, and it looks like